Labor Day holiday?
Yes, sir.
My wife has got the wrong impression about Labor Day. That's supposed to be my day off, you know? She thinks it's the day to labor. And so that's the way it works around our place. So anyway, good to see you all this morning. Okay, Washington County Commissioners Court is now in session, Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024, at 9 a.m. Commissioner Hanneth, would you do the honors, please?
Today we have Reverend Johnny Williams from Mount Zion MBC. Sure.
Shall we pray? Eternal God, you are our Father and we are your children. I want to thank you for this beautiful assembly here in this room. We pray that you'd bless all the rooms in the courthouse. We pray that you'd bless all the rest of the first responders wherever they might be located. And we pray that you continue to help us realize that we need you in every aspect of life, because Satan is walking to and fro trying to see whom he may destroy. But we want to claim victory in Jesus' name. Thank you for our yet spared lives and portion of health and strength. We pray for the family members of these that's assembled here today, whether they are in the hospitals, nursing homes, or wherever they might be. We pray now that you would help these wonderful souls to do business in your way, that they might enhance the lives of others. Then we have fallen short of doing your will. We just ask now that you would please forgive us, and thank you for allowing us another chance to do better in the time to come. This we ask in Jesus' name with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Williams. And now let's say the pledges to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
Item number 3, presentation of the Washington County Expo Quarterly Report. Mr. Williams?
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are up and rolling for fair. It started last weekend for us. All right, so I apologize for how simple this is, but do not let simplicity be misleading. All right, so revenues were staying on track for what we've done historically over compared to 23, which is exciting to see consistency in our world as things ebb and flows as we move out of certain market rotations in our 5-year cycles with certain events. Looking at our expenses, July really stands out. That is going to be the payments of the air conditioners for the sales facility that we're paying out, and that should be the total amount. We have some other large expenses coming up as well. So as we move into fair proper, as it were, we have the Brahmin show this weekend, which is part of fair, and then the weekend after is full-blown fair. We had the main water line between barn 1 and 2 rupture from where the cast iron just rusted and fell apart. Happens with age. We got it repaired last week. So it is done. It was brought to our attention that one of our electrical panels down by the rodeo arena had been miswired and was ready to catch fire, so we got that corrected as well. We also had, since I had been here, our first inspection by the City of Brenham for our grease trap maintenance and compliance. We passed with flying colors except for one particular trap which we overlooked, which is my fault, and I apologize for that. The sales is all done, and one thing that is personally exciting to me is our Fair Knowledge Library. This has been kind of a little ongoing project. So what we've been doing is we've been uploading maintenance diagrams and keeping track of panel counts, placements, times, scheduling for the last few years, and creating, essentially what we're doing is we're creating a work on the back side of our work order system. Every year it triggers, you need to have this done at this time, here's the setup diagrams. So all that historical knowledge does not get lost when a staff member leaves, someone retires, or gets hit by the bus. everything is all nice and recorded for us, which is important. Looking at our preventative versus reactive, we're seeing an increase in the total number of preventative work orders, which is good. That's the number we want to see going up versus our regular reactives. Over this last quarter, we've had over 200 and some change as that goes up. Looking at the overall breakdown, we're looking at none, which means we didn't do a very good job of categorizing, and we will go back and get that updated on the priority front. And only 14 high priorities over a quarter, which I would say is within a healthy margin given the age of our facility, that nothing has ruptured. One thing that we did include in here is the location summary. I don't believe I've included this before since it's getting built out more and more. We've only had this program for less than a year. So as more data comes in, more data becomes available, more cool things we get to do. So looking at the overall areas that have the highest concentration of work orders allows us to better manage our facilities in a more responsible fashion. We also rolled out a small portion of this over to EMS for them to pilot to see if it's something that they like using. So what I really wanted to talk about today, Carly, is there a way for you to copy and paste that link and open it in a Google browser? I know I'm asking a lot. If you go down to that last slide, keep going. Yep, that link right there. Should be able to open it. Nope. Okay, can you copy and paste that, please? Hopefully. If not, that's okay. We can just work with it. So what we have gone ahead and done, and this has been a project over the last many months for us to do, is we have taken the entirety of the master planning process and have made it publicly available after court today, to be found on our website. That is the link. There's a QR code if you would like to scan it. Media folks, I will send that in an email to you for the sake of convenient publishing. So what we did is, sorry, I apologize to the folks in the audience, but what we did is we tried to break down the entirety of what is a truly gargantuan process. A lot of counties, what they do is they will hire out the entirety of this process, and we've done a good majority of this in-house because we have the skills and the network to do it, and financially we can save quite a bit. So what we did is we broke everything down into, hopefully, what anyone can read and can understand. So we've taken not only what is the overall portion of a master plan, the components that go into it, and I have made this a very clinical process. When you're planning for 30 years of growth and development, you want it to be very clinical, well thought out, and you want to take your time. Unfortunately, large projects like this, when you're thinking about if we should build this, if we should build that, it all takes time. So we've taken our sweet time on this one to make sure we're serving our community to the best that we can. Within this, what you'll find is you'll find the market and utilization study that we had completed by Hunden Partners earlier this year. Within there, we've taken the study and we've broken it down into 4 separate categories, looking at our current facility and the comparable comps that we are used against in our region. So like Waller, Belton, which is now Cadence Bank, Brazos County. We also broke out just the visitors data as well. So if that's just what you're interested in, you don't have to read the full study at over 160 pages. We also broke down the local impact and implications for our community, what this will mean if we decide to do everything all at once. And then we also broke down the convention, cattle, and equestrian market trends. Since those are our primary sectors of service, we broke out that section to make it easily readable and understandable. But then if ever anyone's interested, we also included the entire 160-page document is within there and open to anyone to download and read at their leisure. I think it's quite an interesting read, but that is just me personally. So we also broke out the key questions that were asked for our particular area. We also broke down, and I wish we could see this on the screen, is the site recommendation high-level estimated project costs for the entire scope of the recommendations. These are good numbers for us to have as they act as references. So hopefully as folks read this, we put in a little disclaimer that project costs are estimates of each potential improvement and are used to evaluate their feasibility and to assist in scalable and financially responsible growth. They are not reflective of current commitments. And by that, what we're trying to say is we need to plan. We know growth is coming, but growth is coming at a predictable rate. So as long as we plan in phases, we can scale appropriately and responsibly. We don't need to do everything all at once, but we do need to chip away with it a little bit at a time after time. One of the main questions we asked was looking at the idea of relocating in totality from our current home to a potential new site. What we found is that it would be about a $20 million savings by staying put where we are and redeveloping our current site, along with perhaps inching over across the road on Old Independence a little bit more than we historically have in the past. So all those numbers are open and there for public consumption, and I hope people read them and understand that they are very high level general assumption numbers, but they're good for us to know. And all this information is important. As we were going through this study, it got brought to our attention that there are public sources of funding that are not linked to your property taxes that are available for economic development and tourism development projects on the scale that we were not prior aware of. So it's good that we have all this information because it allows us to go and apply for those types of fundings and go through those processes to request them. Also in here, you're going to find the facility condition assessment done at a high level. This is something normally you hire an outside firm for, but we know how to do these in-house. Those normally cost $40,000, but Harrison in a couple months can knock it out just as efficiently. So when you open that, you'll find a assessment of each individual building on site of our property to help prioritize improvements that either need to be made to it, or do we just knock it down and start over from scratch. A good example would be like the VIP bathrooms that I'm pretty sure are the most complained about facility in Washington and perhaps the Brazos Valley as a whole. I actually found the blueprints for them. They were built in 1956, funny enough. One thing that we did at the very bottom of the page, and I really hope people will engage with this component, is we created a meeting request and feedback portal. So anyone can go in, give us their feedback anonymously if they would like, because I know we don't always like feeling comfortable putting our names on things. So you can give us feedback on your thoughts, if it's a great idea, a bad idea, or perhaps there was something that we missed in that process. We also included a section for a meeting request, if you would like to come sit down in my office and have a long discussion about this. I'm always happy to. I wish people would engage more on what we do. Or if you'd like us to come speak to your social group, albeit your Rotaries, your EDFs, whatever, we're more than happy to come and give presentations and explain. Then also just a general question and answer section if that's something that you would like to engage with. And that's it.
And this is going to be located on your website?
Yes, sir.
Is it also going to be on the county website?
We will have a link attached to
Okay.
the county website as well. And then we'll push this out across our relevant social media channels.
Okay, very good.
Maybe visit with the chamber and visit Brenham. It might be a good thing for people to see that would normally just come here and visit. So see what's happening.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I didn't know a lot or the totality of our impact across the market. One thing that was pretty interesting to me was that we, by percentage-wise, on visitors over 100 miles, we pull roughly in the same percentage as Brazos County Expo, which I thought was kind of interesting to learn. One thing that kind of stood out to me was the impact of if we invest in building new arenas and some of their other recommendations, that the increase in sales taxes will help keep property taxes lower, which is an incentive, I would say, if we can always keep property taxes down by increasing sales tax. And then the sheer impact it will have on local businesses as a whole and job creation. They're projecting over 230 FTEs over a cumulative 30-year period would be created across the county, not just the county as a governmental entity, but from your hotels, your decorators, from all the different like caterers and businesses that rely on us as a source of business for them. So it's very in-depth, it's very interesting, and it's the start of providing a very good long guide to a well thought out and comprehensive plan. And I would like to thank the media for coming in and helping me break down which sections are most useful to folks and for their thoughts, feelings, and opinions on how we present the information in a way that is easily digestible. I am always at fault if I live so deep into the data. Sometimes I can't see the way out, so I always appreciate folks coming in to give me their thoughts, feelings, and opinions.
Well, and I would also say that we should thank the Fair Association for the participation that they've had in this process, and they came to budget and visited with us about giving some of their thoughts, so we really appreciate that.
Yes, the community for our frequent stakeholders have been well surveyed and have gotten a good chance at giving their input on what we should do, because we have to do this all together. This can't be a one trick pony of driving this home. It's going to have to be the community rallies around what we need. My job is to provide the data that we can make the best decisions.
I think we should just kind of put it out there. Please take caution when you look at the projections, because
There's some big scary numbers in
there's
there.
some big scary numbers in there, but that does not mean that we are going to be proceeding with one big large bond to do that. Like
Correct.
I said, this is a 30-year
30-year project.
And I know that Mr. Williams will work very hard to try to leverage other funding opportunities.
We'll take it all down and break it into priority and whatever is most financially feasible at the given time. I think if we were to try to do everything all at once, it wouldn't be something that financially we could support. I think we would struggle a little bit with the market as it currently stands on getting in enough business to support all the different functions that are recommended. But in 10 years, we could definitely support all of that. But we can't do it today, right? Growth for the sake of growth and change for the sake of change isn't really the best. But scalable growth and change that can be made more efficiently is not always the worst thing on planet Earth, in my opinion. So if anybody has questions and you see me at the county fair, please feel free to stop me mid-track, and I'll be more than happy to find time and talk about it.
Timing's great for that.
It is great for that.
It really is.
Almost like it was thought out.
Really? Come on.
Really? All right.
Well, thank you, Ms.
Thank
Williams.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4, discuss and possibly act upon accepting the termination letter to terminate the interlocal agreement between Washington County and City of Brenham for emergency management coordinator services. Commissioners, y'all may remember that in January 1, the city emergency management coordinator was the assistant fire chief, and he retired. And so they were without an emergency management coordinator, and we agreed to share the expenses also of the county's emergency management coordinator, share with the city until they got a replacement, which they now have. And they want to terminate this agreement effective September 30th. And they have been paying their 1/2 share all this time, right, Mr. Kennedy?
Yes, they have.
Okay, so anyway, that's what this is all about. So we'll each have our own emergency management coordinator again.
Okay. I make a motion to approve accepting the termination letter to terminate the interlocal agreement between Washington County and the City of Brenham for emergency management coordinator services.
I second that motion.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 5, discuss and possibly act upon entering into a contract with J. Mendoza Tree Services for county-wide debris cleanup from the July 8th declared major disaster. Mr. Stoltz?
Morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Yes, this is something we've been working with FEMA. We've conducted quite a few meetings over the last few months between the May storms as well as what we're looking at today, which would be Hurricane Beryl, which would have been taking place on July 8th. So with this one, we have received all of our quotes that are going to be received, which is at this point 2. We did reach out to quite a few different tree services. The 2 that we received were J. Mendoza, and the other one was Sendero. The low bid between the ones that we received was $39,200 from J. Mendoza. Now, J. Mendoza was actually the winning contractor for the May cleanup, the May storm cleanup. With that one, they have concluded that cleanup on those roadways. It was approximately 75 roadways that they were working on. We did have to have an employee with them because one of the things that we have to have with FEMA is we have to have documentation of the event, the debris taking place on the roadway, as well as have a third party, which would be ourselves in this particular case, documenting the actual cleanup process and disposal. So they are done with this one, and then we're ready to move to the next one, which is this particular list includes 98 roadways from that particular storm. And this would be approximately a 14-day cleanup, $39,200, and we do recommend approval of this contract.
And it does say it'll take them approximately 14 days. Is that 14 working days, or is that 14 consecutive?
Unfortunately, it is 14 business days.
Business
The reason being is unfortunately the transfer station, which we must take it to for FEMA reimbursement, they're only open for half day on Saturdays, no Sundays. Really, they didn't want to just do a half day for that, so.
Okay.
I make a motion to enter into a contract with J. Mendoza Tree Services for countywide cleanup of debris from the July 8th declared major disaster, in the amount of $39,200.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, discuss and possibly act upon authorization for the Engineering and Development Services Department to seek bids for 12 fleet vehicle purchases.
Yes, this is something we've been discussing in budget. One of the things that we've looked at in past years is obviously the rental service. One of the things we're looking at doing is to save money for long-term, which is possibly incorporating back into our own in-house fleet completely. The vast majority of our fleet today is in-house, but there are 8 vehicles that are currently in place with Road and Bridge section of EDS and 2 within environmental. So 10 of those vehicles would be, in this particular case, if approved, would be replacing those rental vehicles. And the other 2 would be for replacing older vehicles that are still in our fleet. This particular advertisement for bid that we are looking for approval would have 2 separate bid options. The first would be the base bid, which is what we discussed in budget, which is 6 mid-size vehicles, 3 half-tons, 2 3/4 tons, and 1 1-ton. The alternate bid would be 9 full-size vehicles and 2 3/4 ton, 1 1-ton. So what we're looking to do is we're trying to bring this out to as many dealerships as possible to see what our best prices can be. We'll bring this back, and then we'll have a conversation about if the court would like to move forward with one of the 2 options. We'll see what they can do in terms of fleet pricings for all of these options. The other side to this one is we are looking to have this due back to us, these sealed bids back to us on September 25th, which would be a Wednesday at 10 a.m. We would open them at the same time at this location in Suite 103, and we would be looking to bring this back to the court for consideration on October 1st, 2024 at 9 a.m. That is our proposal for opening and potential award.
And the due September 15th?
25th.
25th.
That's
Yes, sir.
I knew that something didn't seem right about that. Okay.
I'll move upon the authorization for the Engineering and Development Services Department to seek bids for 12 vehicle purchases.
Give
Due,
dates.
bid to be due back on the 25th at 10 a.m.
Yes, sir. September
Bids will be due
25th.
back on the 25th at 10 a.m.
And be voted on October
and be
1st,
voted on.
9
October.
a.m.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, presentation of the Engineering Development Services Quarterly Report.
Yes, okay, let's go ahead and jump straight in. All right, so for quarter 3, we do have 482 work orders that were created. The vast majority of those really kind of centered around the storm in July. Let's see here. This is kind of a breakdown of the general location, which of course is really sporadic around the entire county. Moving on to OSSFs and septic installs, we have had 184 permits issued to date. As of 2023, at this point in time, we had 226, so we're actually looking at a slight downturn, which is kind of what we've been seeing from market trends for residential development. The OSSF order is in review by TCEQ, and the biennial tire cleanup is scheduled for October 12th. So that's coming up in about a month. Addressing, we have addressed 200 to date. As of this time in 2023, we had 246, so kind of on par with what we were looking at for OSSFs. For subdivision status changes, for the quarter, we've had 2 changes, one of which was the Pecan Glen roads accepted into the county, and then the other would be Timber Bridge roads accepted into the county. We really haven't seen a lot of, we've had a lot of speculation for new developments, but we haven't really had anything submitted beyond mainly variance requests. So I think we are still a little bit into a lull. All right, so moving on to base purchasing. So what we have here is a breakdown of acquisition for limestone base as well as this year crushed concrete base material for both paved roads and flex base replacement, or excuse me, maintenance. So far to 2024, we have acquired 39,000 tons. 25,000 tons of that material has been used for paving. The rest is either on site at our yard or has been utilized for flex base. Quite a bit of washouts this year, so we have had to use quite a bit for maintenance of flex base roads. All right, so I have talked about this before this year in terms of the crushed concrete. It's actually been going very, very well. A couple small little snafus here and there, but at the end of the day, it's still a very good product. Really, the only thing to note is every once in a while, the magnet just doesn't quite pick up every little piece of metal. So it's something we kind of have to work around, but at the end of the day, it's still laying down very hard, good material, and the big thing is that it's saving us a lot of time and money. Speaking of which, switching over to the crushed concrete material has saved us $86,620 to date instead of the limestone base material, which is a big win for us. And then it's also saved us 25,700 miles of transport to our nearest other option, which would be in Giddings, Texas Materials limestone base, which has saved us around $11,250 in fuel costs. So that's been very good. We've really been liking that progress with them. We've got a good relationship, and we hope that it's something we can continue into the future. All right, so for 2024 paving progress, let's see here. Obviously, we were a little bit behind with a lot of the storms this year, but the last month has been fantastic. We've been making a lot of progress. Our crew, in terms of paving, is actually putting out chip seal this morning on Nicholson Lake. We're scheduled to rip up Old Chapel Hill Road, which is right across 290 from there, this week. So that's gonna begin construction. We're about 15.6 miles as to date this year, and what we're doing is we're going to be moving further west and finishing out on the western side of the county. But we are moving very good right now. I know everyone's been praying for rain. I've been praying against you. So we'll see who God listens to. So I'm hoping I come out ahead on that one.
You shouldn't have said that. My wife is going to be upset.
I'm definitely the minority in that category, but hey,
You are not.
I'll take it.
You are not. I'm right there with you. Too many phone calls.
So driveway culvert installations. We have completed 90 culvert installs to date. Actually, what you've got here is just a few photos of the process. That's actually us putting down the binder material for the chip seal. Next photo down is us installing the topping rock, which is just the process for our application. That's just the first course on this. This is what it looks like from the prime coat, which is on the left, versus that first seal. This is our grade 3 uncoated topping rock, which goes down first. So that's kind of the differential between the two. And as you keep going down, you'll start to see some final products that we've had for the year, which I've actually been very impressed with our guys. They've really been showing a lot of quality. They've really been making sure that anything that goes on is to high grade. So I've been very impressed. And then I think that should be the last one, going into driveway culvert. So driveway culvert installs for the year, we are currently on 90 for the year. If that continues throughout the rest of the year, we will be looking at, I believe, 135 is what we're scheduled for the year. In 2023, we had 104. In 2022, we had 111. So we are looking at a slight increase in the culvert install so far as this year. The equipment shed cover, which is to cover our equipment mainly during the high-intensity sun as well as the rain throughout the winter, to extend the life of our equipment, is going very well. The structure itself is up. They are installing the sheeting as we speak today. This is from last week. They have done the majority of the back panel as well, but we're expecting them to have that wrapped up pending any kind of weather situations this week. Let's see here, right-of-way shredding. So we do have 2 shredders that are working along the Old Mill Creek section, doing all kind of shredding in those particular areas. And then we have another 2 in-house shredders that are in the Sandtown area near Burton. So both of those guys, or all 4 of those gentlemen, are working hard to get those shredded. And Wayne Poole, who is our contractor for 1 and 2, they're coming in this week. They're finishing up Grimes County, which is also on their clientele list, and they're going to be coming in this week. So expect in the next 3 weeks that we will have precinct 1 and 2 completely shredded. All right, fleet replacement progress. Obviously, that's something we were kind of working on today. We'll see how everything comes in, but we're hoping we can get some good pricing on that. Oil and gas permits. It's actually been a pretty slow year for oil and gas. We've only had 2 so far this year, whereas last year I think we had over a dozen by end of year. So the 2 that we have had, one of which was on a state road, and the other one was on a flex-based county road on Sandstone. So really haven't had a big boom in those as of yet. The bridge AFAs with TxDOT. We do have 95% design with Mockamel, Bossy, Durking. We've been working with TxDOT pretty closely over this quarter, and one of the things that has been communicated is that we anticipated construction over this next month for Mockamel, Bossy, and Durking. Those have been actually extended to the beginning of next year. I think it's just some scheduling issues with TxDOT they're going to work through. That said, we are meeting this week for the Artesian Park design process. We're going to be working with them on that design. One of the things to note on that's just a little bit of difficulty is it is one way in, one way out. So we're trying to maintain traffic on that particular roadway while that bridge is under construction. We do have some good news. So
Hold on
got
just
some.
a second.
Yes, sir.
How are you gonna maintain the traffic? Are you gonna build a temporary access point for that?
So as it's been to date, we've talked about quite a few ideas, and really what we're going to be going into is what exactly is going to be recommended from the design engineer on this week. That said, what they've been focusing on is to construct a half of the bridge, offset from the existing, construct that complete, have that open, deconstruct the rest of the bridge, and construct the other half. That's been what's been proposed to date. That said, we'll kind of see what that design really kind of comes to this week. Let's see here. Okay, so the good news we have for this one is I did get last week that we are approved for 2 additional bridges to be added into the AFAs. One is on Tiger Point Road in Precinct 4, and the other is Caney Creek Road, the Western Bridge in Precinct 2. So we do have a $75,000 EMP. I will be recommending to the court that we actually have that as part of the project rather than actually paying out $75,000. So we're actually in the process of determining which bridge we're going to be working on. We can do culverts as well, but to be honest with you, I think I'd like to do a bridge. It's a one project deal. We're done and out. So we're working on that to kind of finalize those selections, and we'll bring that to you. The EMP, that's that Wonder Hill project, we're going to have completed here in the next couple months. And after that, we've got the CDBG MIT-MOD grant. That one's been in review for quite a long time. It's gone through 3 different RFIs. Really, a lot of it boils down to a lot of the, I hate to say it, but a lot of the bureaucracy of the federal funding. But we did submit our report for their last RFI last month. We've had meetings with them to determine what it is, and really a lot of it's just the beneficiary area. I don't want to get into too much detail, but a lot of it just boils around it's a bridge in a floodplain that we're working on. One federal agency will only allow you to include beneficiaries that are directly along the project. Very few people that are directly along a floodplain area, right? That said,
The LMI component.
correct. But on the flip side, another federal agency that's also reviewing these looks at it and says, hey, I'm not going to approve over $1 million for grant funding for 2 beneficiaries, which we all know that this is actually an entire portion of the county that would be benefiting from this particular project. 1155 goes underwater routinely every single year. Myersville goes under the same way. Felder, Old Plantation. This opens that up for traffic, first responders in events where we do have flooding. Obviously, this was just this year, just to kind of put it in perspective. But if anyone's gone down Myersville, they know it goes underwater very routinely. So we're just trying to get a regional benefit here, but also play by every federal agency's rules. And there's just a little bit of red tape along with that. But we're hoping that after our last meeting of exactly what they were looking for, that would satisfy both federal agencies as well as what we're needing for this and this last analysis that we did with the report. We hope that this is the last bit of review that needs to take place and we can move forward for this project. So
It's been a while since I've read those documents. Is there a timeline for the expenditures of those funds?
well, to be honest with you, I would have liked to have been in construction
No,
now.
but I mean,
Right.
like, are they gonna claw those funds back if we don't spend them in a certain time? Or
So
is
the
that-
only
is
way that they
that-
can get those funds back is if they pull the funds, which they would have to deny our
Request.
request.
Okay.
Yes, and there has been no conversation with that. Everything up to this point has purely been, we just need information.
Okay.
And the rest of this is purely appendices for the work orders that's been issued, some of our fleet mileage, as well as the flyer for the October tire cleanup. So, does anyone have any questions?
Not at this time.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Item number 8, discuss and possibly act upon approval to reimburse Salem Volunteer Fire Department.
How y'all doing?
Good morning.
So here recently, Salem had to purchase a total of 6 air packs and 12 bottles. Our air packs were 2003 standard, which you can only go behind 2 standards before they stop making parts and working on them. We had 3 working air packs, and Scott and Metro sent us a memo that they would no longer service our air packs. So as they went out, that was all she wrote for those air packs. So we had to replace at least 6 of them to put them onto the truck, so we had a full engine crew. Ideally, we'd like to replace more of them, but 6 got us by for now, and it cost us around $58,120. I'm asking for reimbursement of $58,120 if possible. If not, we're glad to take whatever help we can get.
And does Tim want to mention about the, do you have, I just wanted to know if you had anything to add.
No, I don't have a whole lot. That was, so actually, for those of y'all that were here for the presentation for the fire departments, this was one of the requests that was in there for it. The estimated cost I had because of inflation and whether it would get funded this year or not was just over $72,000. So getting it today at 56 is actually a pretty bargain deal.
And this is, I just wanted to make sure, you know, that we educated the court on all of the conversations that we've had.
Yes, ma'am.
But essentially, due to the reasons that they explained, they had to make this purchase, but unfortunately, it expended the majority of
Yeah, so
their reserve.
we're sitting in the bank around $6,000 to $8,000. We just had to buy 2 new sets of gear, and we still have to go out and purchase 3 more sets, so everybody has gear. We're having some issues with our truck, and the AC went out at the station, and we can't get our truck fixed or anything right now. Everything's on hold because we are broke.
Could you elaborate a little bit more on what's wrong with your truck and what would it cost to get it
So
repaired?
we had the city mechanic, Dwayne, come out to check out the truck. There's a few seals and
It's got some substantial oil leaks to it, and the AC's out, and some other items that are in it, and it's a lot of maintenance items that are stacking up on it. It's gonna be north of what they have in the bank to get it fixed. I know one of the parts that I'm helping them with, that one part alone is $1,400. It's a big truck. I mean, it's like a over-the-road freight truck kind of part, so
Yeah.
they're not cheap.
And I know there were some questions about the NFPA and why y'all follow the NFPA. I know, Tim, you and I talked about that. Can you speak towards that a little bit?
Can you elaborate on what that means, NFPA?
And as it relates to the air pack specifically?
Yeah, so on the NFPA standards, and I've got it in the deal that they've got up there on the display. So NFPA 1981 is a standard of how those air packs are to be made and how they got to be serviced. And in a nutshell, they don't really expire, but what these manufacturers have done on the Scott or the Scott air pack side said that basically once it's 4 revisions of that rule old, they're no longer going to work on it. They're not going to provide parts, they're not going to do anything, which is the case of what Salem's air packs were. And that's why we had asked for it during budget on there. What occurred with Salem, though, is different than like at Myersville right now. Myersville's got kind of the same boat. The difference at Salem is they actually had packs break that stopped functioning correctly. Even if they can get the parts, the manufacturer's not going to certify them to be used. These devices are breathing air that's used in what they call IDLH, immediately dangerous to life and health. So where they're going to wear this, you're not going to be able to breathe and you're going to die within one breath. That's the reason they have it on. So it's pretty paramount. Where it crosses the line and the stuff in there is that, yes, we follow 1981 to get on there. The NFPA 1901 standard says you have to have a minimum on that truck. The truck it's on has 6. They're not asking for packs and stuff to put on the other apparatus they have. It's just this one truck to keep it in there. Our regs say that we have to have 2 in, 2 out. And actually, if they go to a hazmat response, where then it now actually crosses a line into OSHA territory, which is the CFR 1910-120 stuff, that says they have to have 2 to go in, they have to have 2 as a backup, and then they have to have 2 more available that are there. So they have to have a minimum of 6 anyway. And at that point, the OSHA regs kick in at that point because it's hazmat. So that's...
How many active firemen are at Salem?
22.
There's 22 active.
Yes, sir.
Let's back up to the truck again.
Yes.
Did you have a estimated bid to repair the truck and get it in operational condition?
He came out, he's gonna be coming out again in a few weeks to relook at it. Told me didn't have the money, so we had to put it on hold.
So what this court has done in the past is helped with the vehicles. We replaced an engine for Chapel Hill. And so that's why I think that we're asking those questions is if the court was able to pay for the engine repair, that would get you to where you needed to be with the engine, correct?
Yeah, we have a few other things that popped up. We have a couple sets of gear that still need to be purchased, and the AC that went out in the station that we're working on getting fixed, because that's one of our incomes at the station is being able to run to haul out, and with without the AC, nobody wants to rent it out because it's a hot box in there.
Yeah,
So
imagine so.
Wow.
So I guess the question for Salem would be, is that, are y'all more willing to want to put money toward the truck, getting it repaired, getting it back up 100%?
Yes.
If we can
Well,
get a-
we've done that in the past.
Correct, and I just want to go with
That's our-
what y'all have historically
That's
done.
our track record, and that's
Yes.
historically, we kept the, if you had an engine blow, like
Yeah.
Chapel Hill did last year, we replaced that. We haven't addressed the air packs, so.
Well, and Tim, you brought that to our attention
Correct.
in this budget cycle, so, there were two plans brought to the court,
Yes.
remember? And we discussed that, those plans probably would be best if they were merged, and we could look at everything holistically for all the departments. That's the reason why we haven't done that yet.
Correct.
And so, I think where we're at is that without a plan, it looks like we're just taking shots at individuals.
Correct.
And so I think that if we stay consistent and then we get this plan in place that you guys presented, which I really appreciate you guys sitting down with the commissioners and working it through, we then have a plan to follow going forward. And I think that keeps us all consistent. It keeps the fire departments from saying, hey, you helped this one, you didn't help us.
Correct.
And that's what will happen
Mhm.
regardless. And there'll be other requests.
Oh, yes.
There will be other requests that will come after this request if this is granted the way it is,
Mhm.
the way it's currently posed. But if it is the vehicle, we've done that in the past. We can definitely
Mhm.
say no. We've done that before, and the court can then work toward getting that plan put in place for the future.
Correct.
Well, they did put a plan together, a replacement plan for the SCBA. We just
Yeah.
didn't put it in the budget.
That's right. But we said we would work on that for this year, for next year.
So I guess the court's feelings would be better for them to put a plan together about getting the truck fixed, so that way y'all could help absorb that cost, which would actually benefit them just almost as much.
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
this has been funded, okay, but it's the truck that you don't have enough funds to repair, is that correct?
yes, we're down to around $6,000. So
Okay, well, bring us a number, get your bids and find out what all is with the truck, and would you bring that back to us, or let us know what that number
Mhm.
look
yeah,
like?
yes, sir.
Okay.
You said when is he coming out to look at the truck?
We'll have to give him a call. We kind of put it on hold because it takes money, but we'll give him a call and see when he's available again. But we'll be on a spending hold for quite a while, so we're $6,000. We can't really do anything with that because we still have payments that we have to make that
Right.
are out. So yeah, we'll have
So-
to give him a
And the
call.
county
Let me
funding
ask-
comes in January, correct?
In
Yes.
January. So let me ask you this, so if we were to pay for those truck expenses, is the $6,000 that you have left gonna cover your operating expenses for the rest of the year, or are you gonna go? I mean,
Depends on how many calls they make, is how much diesel they're gonna burn, and
Yeah.
like right now, is how many quarts of oil you put back in the truck, and
Right.
floor dryer you're using to clean it up where it's running out in the bay.
Let's
The
try
truck's
to-
running,
Let's try to
but,
alleviate the oil problem.
yeah. We'll get some stop leak or something put in there, get it going.
Let's get
But,
it fixed.
no, we can get, I'm gonna actually hang out with the Salem guys today to help them out a little bit with some coverage with Chapel Hill. So we can go out there and we can work on seeing what our local guy is gonna charge and see if we can get a second bid from, say, Siddons or somebody, because it's a Pierce truck, and find out what those guys are gonna charge to see what it would take to get it back in service, back up 100%, where they're not having to spend a bunch of money on it.
I think that would definitely be a good plan, and as soon as you get it,
Mhm.
bring it to us.
Okay,
Okay, let's do
Charlie
that.
does that
has a
work for you on that?
question.
Was there I'm confused with the conversation,
Mhm.
was there a plan submitted?
Yes,
about
there was.
The new SCBA's?
Yes.
And it didn't go to budget, or did?
It did.
It did.
It did, it just didn't have court consensus.
So the
Yeah.
plan's actually what they have listed right there on the board. That was included in their presentation today. That's actually some of it right there on the screen.
Which was, I
Um,
think, about $138,000 a
Mhm.
year.
Well, it was 138 for this first year because it was to reimburse the Salem firefighters for 6-packs that they bought to keep their truck in their unit in service, to replace 5 at Myersville that if any of those break, they're out. They're gonna be in the same boat that these guys are in. because they're also more than 4 revisions old. And then to replace a handful of bottles at another fire department that they don't have enough bottles to meet the minimum standard to have them on the truck. So that was presented. The first year was 138, and then the following years was like 122,000 or so to get it 130, I think 125, I think is what we did
Carly's
to
got-
do annually. So every fire department would basically get 10 sets of packs and bottles. So that way we would stay out of the cycle of that 4-year revision that we can no longer give them service. So,
You can access what was submitted to us. It's in the agenda packet.
thank you for asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes stuff's tracked.
That's
So
what it's
for me, I mean, if we're putting it off another week by, whether we're giving the money to the engine or we're giving the money to the air packs, if we're doing that, you know, it's not the 58,000, if it's 20,000, you know, it's something to get these guys going in the right direction where obviously you see Tim's helping with the part already. They're gonna do this, you know, as frugal as possible. I mean, they're trying to work on themselves and save as much money as possible. So for me, the waiting a week to get a engine quote, you know, doesn't necessarily make sense, especially if they have other immediate needs that we can help them with, even if it's not the full funding of the 58,000.
That's kind of where I'm at, because if you come back to us and you give us, let's say, a quote for 20,000 and we give you that, you're still gonna be left with $6,000
Mhm.
for operating,
Correct.
which I think is a concern.
Yeah, and these are critical to the mission needs, is what it is, to keep the truck, to make sure it's gonna make it to the end of the year when they can get their additional funding, and the SCBA to, either way, the money's gonna either reimburse for the SCBA, that money's gonna turn around and be spent in the truck, or we just spend straight to the truck,
Right.
if any money's granted. So in a nutshell, either way, it's getting spent, so.
And like Wesley mentioned, it hasn't been raining in a while, so it's getting dry out there.
Mhm.
So you don't have a ballpark of what this truck is gonna cost to get fixed? So this court
Not
can
unless-
make, if the
not
court
unless Chief
decides.
Matt does.
Between the AC and the oil leaks down there, plus fixing the leaks that are coming out of the valves, we're probably looking upwards to the higher 20s, low 30s, to get everything fixed by Simmons and Martin.
Oh, we gave Chapel Hill 38,000.
Is it similar to Chapel Hill's issue they had?
They replaced the
No,
engine.
Chapel Hill, the engine, they had all kind of engine issues with it. This is just a handful of items that's on the motor, that it's, because it was a used truck when they got it, it wasn't a brand new truck. It's several things, once one went out, now it's got 2 or 3 things that have all gone out, and it's one of those, if you're gonna go in and fix one item, you might as well fix the other 3 things, because you have to take those off to get to it. So that's where the dollar numbers stack up. One of them is adjusting, to fix the oil leak, you have to go in and do valve adjustments. Then the valve adjustment means you have to adjust the engine retarder adjustment. So all those things, you have to pay for it anyway just to get the leak fixed, if that makes sense.
Do you remember how much, Peggy, do you remember how much we allocated to Chapel Hill last year?
38.
38,000. It was 38,000,
It's an odd amount.
And the,
because it was gonna be 50. I think we just need a
Well, would y'all
motion.
feel
Can-
comfortable, I
We
mean,
need to
I
take.
think we just need a motion. Somebody needs to make a motion.
well, I.
Yeah, to me, even if it's a portion of what they're asking for
Well,
of
that's
that
what I was gonna have
SCBA
conversation
receipt,
about. Would-
that's up to y'all.
You know,
if the,
if
Wanna
we
get around
funded
figure.
the
You feel-
same amount.
you feel the 25 to 30,000 range would get the truck fixed and everything to your,
Yes, sir.
Well, I was thinking, what if we just gave him the same amount that we gave Chapel Hill?
We don't know what that is.
well, that's,
It's
think
less than the
I could
fif,
entertain
it's
well,
that.
less than the
there
58.
was a quote from Chapel Hill at the time for the 38,000. That's the,
Commissioner, are you making a recommendation or a motion to that amount?
yeah, I make a motion to approve the reimbursement for Salem Volunteer fire department for $25,000.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Sure thing.
Huh? I know.
Item number 9, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of accounts payable. Ms. Kramer?
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Today, we will be paying, not a lot, $183,404.11, of which right at $45,000 of that is for the station out in Somerville, which is not general fund, it's TASP money, so, but it's still in this total.
And that's for architectural fees.
Just
Yes, from
architectural.
Keys and Associates,
Keys
both of those
Associates.
bills.
Correct. Okay.
I'll move upon the approval of accounts payable.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second that motion.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.